How do I turn off BitLocker? What happens if I do? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. I don't need or want BitLocker, yet it's been turned on. How do I turn off BitLocker? So I'm going to assume that you're talking about BitLocker's full disk encryption. And yep, that can now include both Windows Home and Pro editions, just in different places with different names because heaven forbid we be consistent. I also assume you understand that with BitLocker turned off, anyone who steals your machine can access all the files on it, even without knowing your Windows login password. Turning off BitLocker and decrypting your drive? Well, that's a snap. Windows Pro. This applies to both Windows 10 and Windows 11. Boot your machine, of course, and sign into Windows. And yeah, I gotta say that this step is required. If you cannot sign into Windows, you will not be able to decrypt the drive. Honestly, that's kind of the point of the security that BitLocker is providing you. Here we are in Windows 11 Pro. We're going to run Windows File Explorer, and you can see that our local disk C has this padlock icon on it. So we're going to right-click on it and say Manage BitLocker. This will give us the opportunity to turn off BitLocker. Well, that's exactly what we're wanting to do. So we'll click on that and click on Turn Off BitLocker. Now that's going to take a little bit of time, but once it's done, you're done. BitLocker has been turned off on that drive and all of the data has been decrypted. All right, let's have a look at Windows Home. This part is going to apply only to Windows 11 Home Edition. Boot your machine and once again, sign into Windows. Yep, this step is still required. Same thing, we'll look at Windows Explorer and you can see that for our C drive, there is once again a padlock icon. That's kind of a clue. The problem, of course, is that there is no Manage BitLocker or anything associated with that drive. What we need to do instead is go to the Settings app, search for encryption. It's the fastest way to get there. And what we're going to click on is Device Encryption Settings. And you can see that we have that turned on. Well, turn it off. And indeed, turn off device encryption. There's a warning. We do want to turn it off, so we're going to click Turn it off. And it's going to take a while to decrypt. Same as Windows Pro, the decryption process is going through the entire hard disk and decrypting everything that's stored on it. When that process finishes, BitLocker, here in the guise of device encryption, has been turned off. So what just happened? Well, with BitLocker turned on, all the data on your hard disk is encrypted. What that means is that, well, you can continue to use the disk normally without concern for that encrypted state. If your machine is stolen or the disk is removed, the data on that disk remains safely inaccessible to the thief since they can't sign in. By turning BitLocker off, you've removed that protection. Anyone who gains physical access to your machine can access the data on it. Most commonly by just removing the drive and connecting it to a different computer, bypassing even the need to sign in. As some have somewhat sarcastically remarked, BitLocker has probably prevented more legitimate access than it's actually prevented malicious access. Typically, that's because folks haven't backed up the recovery key associated with the drive. At some point thereafter, something happens, and they need the recovery key that they don't have. The result is that they're locked out of their own drive. If the data on that drive is not backed up, well, then the data is lost as well. Naturally, if you're using BitLocker in either Home or Pro, back up the recovery key. But not all scenarios also need full disk encryption. For example, if your machine is secure at home and you don't travel at all, BitLocker simply may not be needed, and it can be turned off. Now, as I said, the point of BitLocker is to prevent unauthorized access to your data. Signing into your machine is what gives you that authorization. If you can't sign in, then you can't decrypt the data on the hard drive. There is, in these circumstances, one straw to grasp at. It's not guaranteed, but check out my article and video. Find your lost BitLocker recovery key in your Microsoft account. Bottom line after all this, first check to see if BitLocker is even enabled on your drive. If it's not, well, you're done. If it is and you want to turn it off, follow the instructions that I've just covered. Of course, if it's not and you want it on, you can click Turn BitLocker On or Turn on Device Encryption and just follow the prompts. If you use BitLocker in any form, be absolutely certain to save that recovery key. And regardless, back up the contents of your encrypted drive. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/27841. I'm Leo Notenboom. This is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.